I want some feel good from you. Give us some feel good. Get us to the point where you're starting to come out of it. Of course, first things get a little worse.
Yeah, well,
things get worse before they get better.
My heart had kind of opened up after, I felt God spoke to me through Scripture. But winter break came around, and my ex-girlfriend was back in town. And of course, I reached out to her. I wanted to see her. And it was then that I found out that she was seeing someone else. And I turned away from grace. I went back to my old ways of releasing frustration. This was Christmas Eve morning. I got a picture frame, smashed it over my head, cut my ear. My parents heard it. They ran into my bedroom. My mom was crying. My dad was a little more calm, and being a doctor, he saw my ear and he said, "We have to go to the hospital for that. It looks pretty bad." And I didn't believe him at first and fought him on it. And but I decided to pay attention to the doctor. So we went to community. What we didn't do was get my ear fixed because it wasn't that bad. They took me to...
That's pretty smart.
Yeah, he is. Good thing I was stupid. And so we got to community, and they took me into suicide watch. And then I really started freaking out. I was bawling my eyes out, just begging them to let me leave. Making my case. I'm not crazy. I swear I'm not crazy. Please let me out of here. It's only making it worse. And I kept crying for my friend Caleb, who I'd known since 5th grade and who had always been there for me. And they said, "Call Caleb," and I got a hold of Caleb, and they made me promise we could leave, but only if I was with Caleb. So that's Christmas Eve day. That night, we get home, and Caleb's family, they invite me to go to midnight mass with them, and I do, and I feel a peace in mass. But stuff really starts to happen the week after. They invite me to mass again. And after that mass, he takes me into the side chapel, and he kneels, and he tells me to kneel, and then we go into the pew, and we kneel, and he points up to the front of the chapel, to the altar, and he says, "That's Jesus." And he takes out the Bible, and he turns it to John 6, where it talks about Jesus being the bread of life, and we must eat his flesh and drink his blood. And so that was the Eucharist up on the altar in the monstrance. And that was definitely grace that day, because I had no trouble believing that. That was Jesus. I didn't know who Jesus was, but that was Jesus. And Kale was at IU at the time, and he knew my depression and everything I've been going through, and my heartache, and he knew how much I depended on him, but he'd be leaving to go back to IU. So he said, this is a perpetual adoration chapel. It's always open. You can always come here. So for the next probably 2 or 3 months, that was my home, the perpetual adoration chapel. And I got to know Jesus there, and I cried in front of him, and I got angry in front of him, and I just laid everything out there. And whatever he wanted me to know, he would put in the pews. I met my first saint, St. Jude, saint of hopeless cases. No coincidence there, the first saint I met. I had an aunt that was extremely happy that I was interested in the Catholic faith, and she gave me cassette tapes of Scott Hahn talks, like 12 of them, and that's all I listened to for many months. I also only watched EWTN and listened to Catholic radio, and yeah, Jesus grabbed me that day, and He saved me, and He took me from that depression. I didn't want to die anymore. I didn't want to be destructive anymore. I decided to sacrifice the band, and I quit the band, even though the band was the dream of the other guys, and just the grace was flowing, and I was growing.
Nice.
Yeah.
You still got a little bit of that band in you. It's a good lyric.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll kind of open it up to both of you guys at this point. I mean, we're kind of getting to the point where we're getting closer and closer to present day. And I'm sure both of you, it hasn't been a 180 overnight change and everything was just puppy dogs and roses after that. I'm sure there's been some backsliding. It's been challenging. And Mike, I think at one point you said you have to make that decision every day to rededicate yourself to your faith. So, guys, bring it up to the present. You mentioned the rosary being a good tool for you to maintain your spiritual strength. You talked about doing 54-day novenas to help you out. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, really, the rosary that really at that point started to become a huge part of my life, and it still is to this day. Once I had gotten through the To Save 1,000 Souls book, I decided that it talks about in that book. It talks about exploring the diocese that you grew up in as well, and at this point, it's all still new to me. But I ended up emailing the vocation director for the Peoria diocese, and emailed him and just told him that what I was discerning, and I met with him, and he was really kind of pushing me to go into seminary this fall. And at first I was like, a deep breath, like, is this really going to happen right now? Like, I actually went out and visited Mount St. Mary's out in Pennsylvania, Maryland. I don't even draw a blank. In Emmitsburg, Maryland. And I went out there and I had a great time. I had a lot of peace when I was there. But, it was kind of like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, this really could be it. This really what I'm called to. And they actually, when I actually had applied, filled out the application, the vocation director wrote me back and he's like, well, we've installed a Bibb rule now because of you.
The Bibb rule.
The Bibb rule, because the autobiography was supposed to be a minimum of 8 pages, and mine turned out to be 24. So I just let it all loose.
Talk about how Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah.
Which did happen, actually.
It did, yeah. Wiz he actually had him back in my apartment one night. There were probably 10 of us partying. That was when back then, that was before I really hit rock bottom. I was still listening to rap heavily. That's mostly all I listened to. And I still listen to a little rock. I like Incubus a lot.
Next time you bump into Wiz, you can share the truth with him.
That was before he hit it big, though. It was about 6 months before he signed with that Winter Records. He probably wouldn't know who I am anymore. I remember that night, though. So yeah, where am I at?
Sorry to get you sidetracked.
No, you're all right. You're all right. Yeah, the rosary. I began to say, I've just done some Googling and on the rosary, and I saw this website. It was called the 54-Day Miraculous Novena. And I was like, what? That sounds cool. So I started to read about it, and it's 6 back-to-back 9-day novenas. So you say the first 3 novenas were a petition of whatever you want to ask Mary to answer. And then no matter whether or not you realize that she answers it or not, the last 3 9-day novenas are in Thanksgiving for answering those. At that point, that was when I was, looking at going to seminary this fall, and I have a lot of student loan debt. So I was still trying to figure out if that's really what God was calling me to do. So I told God, I started this 54-day novena to take care of my student loans. I prayed 27 days asking for God, this is your will, Lord, take care of my student loans so I can do what you're asking me of, or asking of me. And on the 18th day, after the second 9-day novena, I get this email from my uncle. He says, hey, I talked to your mom a couple weeks ago, and she told me about your discernment, and so I've been doing some research on companies that will pay your student loans while you're in seminary. And I'm like, really? This is kind of surreal here. And he's like, he attached a Word document. It had about 10 companies for you to look up and explore. And he said, if you put hard work into it and take care of as much student loans as you can, I'll pay the rest. He's like, I don't want you to have to worry about it, so I'll just take on the rest of your student loans.
And we're talking, what, 40, 50 grand here?
We're talking like 80,000
Oh, wow.
student loans. And he's just willingly, he's not going to end up paying 80,000 but yeah, he's very willing, and I was blown away at that, and really realized the power of prayer, and especially novenas with the Blessed Virgin Mary.
I need to pray a novena.
What's that?
I need to pray a novena.
Yeah, I'm a proponent of I promise. And even after that, the first one I said, was for myself, and after I had completed that one, the next 3 of Thanksgiving, I began to say another one for my sister. My sister was similar to me. When she got out of the house, she kind of ran away from her faith and got into a lot of drugs and had a lot of similar problems that I had. Was being arrested for various things, and just was not in a very good spot in her life. And so I began to say a 54-day novena for her, that God would open her heart to the faith and bring her back into the church. And not even 2 weeks after I started, my mom emails me, or she called me, just happy as I've ever heard her. She's like, Gina, she's come back into the faith. She went to the Holy Family and registered. She's now a parishioner of Holy Family. And
This is just out of the blue. She decides,
yeah,
I'm going to start going to church.
out of the blue. She hadn't been to church in 6-7 years.
Wow.
At this point. So it just blew me away even more. How your prayers, how Mary will answer your prayer if you're diligent to her in prayer. I'm not saying it was always easy. It was a challenge a lot of times to say it every day. And there were times when I remember getting home at 12, 1 o'clock after being out with some of my friends and just being exhausted, but realizing that I hadn't said my rosary yet. So I kneeled down at 1 in the morning and I said a rosary. There were a couple times where I would fall asleep, a couple times and I'd wake back up and it'd take me 2-3 hours just to say a rosary. And, but I got through it, and eventually it worked. So
Yeah.
it's amazing, really.
Quite a transition. Quite a transition. Mike, bring us to the present day. Where are we now?
All right. Well, I ended up coming into the church in 2006. It took some time to heal from that relationship. I held on to that for probably 3 years after my conversion. And then by novena to St. Jude, I said I let it go, and healing really began there. We became friends. Friends to the point where in college we'd be dating people, and we'd be able to talk to each other on the phone and help each other out with our relationships. I'm very happy to say that in 3 days she's going to be married, and I'm thrilled about it. And she's getting married to a Catholic, which is awesome. One of my best friends, the drummer in my band, he actually came into the church. He was baptized, confirmed, and received communion only a couple years ago at St. John's. Caleb, who was my John the Baptist, he had his first child in December, and and he and his wife named me the godfather of Liam. Have 5 godchildren now. I'm living in the Blessed Pure Giorgio house, thanks to Father Rick, a house of discernment, of community and prayer, and I'm continuing to grow, and it is a process. It's always very tempting to go back to Egypt, but even when things get dry, we have to get back up and keep moving forward, and with the grace of God, we'll become who He made us to be. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Excellent. Guys, thanks for being so open. I hope I didn't forget anything. Did I leave anything out? Okay. Well, all right, I think Mike and Brian have proved people can change, which is tough.